Alright, so hi guys. It's time for another opinion video, because it's kind of a topic, but not really, and it doesn't have to do with art, so to speak. Also, sorry if you hear stuff in the background. It's the middle of the afternoon, and it's just peak hour if you're living in a city, and it's a nice day out, and I'd rather not be recording in my stuffy apartment with just my animals. I'd like to have some fresh air go through here. So, again, apologize in advance for the random background noise. I could do something about it, but I don't want to. So, it's one of the perks of this not being my job. So, let's just get into it. So, a lot of people, wanted to know about my whole issue with, like, family vloggers and situations like that. And I had to write things down here. So, Paper ASMR is back. Just so I can, like, kind of stay on topic, because with the more recent rant videos I've been posting lately, I haven't been really on topic, because I've just been, in the heat of the moment and the passion and the emotion and all that jazz. Also, let me know for headphone users if this is actually fixing the problem. I've noticed without realizing it that I had been talking into, like, the side of my microphone instead of, like, directly in front of it, because my setup is weird. But yeah, just let me know if that's if that fixed it, because I didn't know why that was happening, and if it doesn't fix it, then it just means it's my mic, and there's not much I can do about it until I can, get spare money for a new mic. So, let's get into the basics here. So, the basic bottom bone issue that I have is that with a lot of family vloggers, so I used to watch a couple of family vloggers a long time ago, and when I've talked to people about this certain topic I'm about to talk about, they tend to twist it into, well, you're just jealous, you don't make that much money, because I'll bring up how, like, a lot of people, especially this is big on you, just in YouTube in general, it isn't just family vloggers, but it is pretty bad with family vloggers, but it's like, when they make a certain amount of money, they stop being relatable to a lot of people, and a lot of them, not all, but a lot of them, tend to, like, lose touch with reality. You see it with, like, reality stars and other big, millionaire rich people, where they'll have, like, a mental breakdown about losing an earring, that earring will cost more than most people's rent for, like, 3 months, you know what I mean? And to them, it's like the end of the world, they lost this earring, when realistically they can go replace it. And then you have people, who are freaking out about surgeries and car payments and being able to afford, food for the month. And it gets kind of, hard. A really good example was this one vlogger I followed a long time ago. I don't watch anymore. But, they were making a lot of money. They never said exactly how much, but it was one of those things where it was implied. Because I remember getting, like, I felt really kind of like, ugh. Because they were talking about how, like, oh yeah, with my next YouTube paycheck, I'll just be able to pay all of my college loans off in 2 months. And while that's great, to a lot of people doing basic math, that's a lot of fucking money to be able to just throw down in common conversation like it's no big deal, when something like that is a very, very big deal. There's a reason why it takes a lot of people years to pay off college loans. So for some people, while you should be happy about it, the way it was said in context, which is the big issue here, was that it was like, oh, it's no big deal, college loans. Why do people bitch about it? And that was something that sat not so well with me. And then I started noticing other things about this YouTuber where, here's the problem. I could tell they weren't doing it for clout. There's a big difference from showing off and just not understanding. It takes people a while to understand that. Showing off is, like, oh, look what I can do. Look at this. It's being flashy. While, something to somebody being normal just is a normal conversation. Think of it like, oh yeah, once a week I go to Starbucks, alright? That's, it's like, oh yeah, when I was at Starbucks this week, blah, 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 blah. Something like that is very common in conversation, at least in America. I know in other countries it can vary depending on how, context is used and other, colloquialisms and, issues with well, not issues. Anyway, I'm rambling here. Alright, let's get back on topic. But they start bringing up things that really are hard for people to relate to, and it gets harder for when, you know, you see people who just don't understand. I see this a lot, and it's such a bad comparison, but it's all I can think of is with, like, boomer memes. So this actually happened to me recently, and this doesn't have to do with family vloggers, but it has to do with the topic. And I was out with a dinner with some older relatives, and pretty much what ended up happening was we got on the topic of cars. You know, my husband works at a school for auto mechanics, and, you know, he went to school, he got all of his certifications, he's been a master tech and all that stuff, and we make decent money. I'm not going to say we're, like, suffering, but we do have to live on a very tight budget. You know, we don't have new cars, we still have a lot of loans to pay off, kind of the basic millennial dream right now. But, you know, they were bringing up, this relative was bringing up how their grandson doesn't have a car, and how it's like, it's so weird because, you know, back in the day, getting your license in a car at 16 was like a rite of passage. And so, you know, you were at a dinner, and I was very polite about it, and I pretty much said, like, oh, well, you know, not everybody can afford a car and car insurance and gas. And they looked at me like I had just spoken a language they had never heard of before. Like I had just slapped them in the face. And I remember being like, it's not a big deal. Like, I didn't say it in, like, an insulting way. And they were like, what do you mean? If people want a car, they'll make it happen. And I'm like, well, okay, if we're going to go down this road, you know, when I was in high school, and this was back in 2010, 2011-ish, I graduated in 2011. Back when I was in high school, almost nobody I knew, unless your parents had a lot of fucking money, had a car or a license back then. That just wasn't it. Or if they did get a car, they had, like, the parents' old car kind of situation, you know? And I remember a friend of mine, and here's another, you know, topic on the thing. A friend of mine had her license, and the parents let her borrow a car, but they did not have her insured. She was driving without insurance, because the parents like, we can't afford insurance for that, so just don't get caught. Don't get in a car accident. And that's hella illegal, and it's hella popular. I know a lot of people that they're like, I need a car to go to work, but I can't afford the insurance, so I'm just gonna, you know, not have insurance. And if my car gets wrecked, then I'm just fucked. And when I explained that, you know, obviously I didn't curse because they were my elders and I was being polite. They looked at me again like I was just talking gibberish, like it makes no sense to them. And then they brought up, like, well, didn't you take a while to get your car? And I was like, yeah, I did, because I didn't need a car. I always worked close to home. My parents worked at home, so I would pay them gas to take me to work. If I had work, I would, you know, I'd walk to work. I would take the bus. I found ways to get around. And even then, when I did get my license, because I did have to have a license for where I lived, the only reason I was able to drive was because my husband and his friends have a lot of older cars lying around. My car is, I believe, a 92 car. She's old. She's an Altima. She's old, and, you know, she shakes and screams at me, but she gets me from point A to point B. And I actually really enjoy my car. A lot of people will say otherwise, and she does have a lot of issues, but I enjoy my car, and I enjoy not having a car payment. Like, it sounds really shitty to say, but with where we are financially, we can't exactly afford a $100 to $200 extra a month car payment. It's just how it is. Some people are like that, some people aren't, you know? And when people try to debate that, like, oh, you just don't understand, it's like, well, you don't understand my finances, you don't understand the situation I'm in, and how commonplace that is. I also know a lot of people that, you know, they don't own a house unless they live in a state where the housing market is dirt cheap, and even then, the minimum wage is often very cheap. Another example, a perfect example, because it's going back to the topic of, you know, families and stuff like that. My husband has a cousin, very sweet guy, has 2 kids and a wife. They're a great family, love them to death. They live in Tennessee. The wife is a stay-at-home mom. The dad works, and they own a house in Tennessee for their 2 kids, and each kid has a bedroom. And they make well enough at buy to have the wife be able to stay at home for the kids because the kids are young, and for them to be able to pay for everything. That's great. I'm not shitting on that. But when he was out here, he was looking at the prices in houses and talking to Cody and I, because we're the only other ones that are married in the family. And he was going on about how he's like, how the hell are you guys ever going to afford a house out here? You know, and out here, you know, you can do this and that. And it's like, well, it's just kind of how it is. It's why we don't have kids yet, you know? And that's just a thing. You know, some people have financial differences, and some people are better off than others because of just the areas they live in. It's just a kind of a fact of life. But with a lot of these family vloggers, you see situations, and this is another topic that it goes into, where the kids are now growing up thinking that these things are normal. Because, let's be honest, the basic slice of life... Oh, I don't know if you heard that beeping, but someone's getting towed from my complex again. Yay for living in a city. But pretty much what ends up happening is... That beeping is really getting bad. Pretty much what ends up happening is that to keep up content, they will do things that are not normal. You know, these will consist of prank videos. These will consist of big lavish vacations and big lavish spending things, which was one of the things that really turned me off from a certain vlogging family that I was following. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to throw shade at them, but I just stopped watching them. I spoke with my clicks. I didn't like that. Pretty much, if they... Smokey Glow put up a good point in one of her videos a long time ago about it, is that if it wasn't for the kids, half of these channels wouldn't be making money. So they have to do stuff for the kids because kids like watching the content, because kids like dreaming. A lot of people like seeing the things that they can't do, but now your kids are growing up thinking this is normalized. So, what do you mean by that? You'll see stuff like, lol, random surprise vacation to France. Lol, you know... $25,000 a person cruise line, lol, blah, 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 blah. And then, people can then write that off their taxes because they made a video dedicated towards it, so they're now writing off their business adventures, which is fine, that is their business, they do have that right, but, in the same vein, these kids are growing up thinking that this is normal. That, you know, oh, yeah, I was just in Guam last week, and now I'm in Paris, and now we're spending, you know, a week in Alaska. It's like, whoa, what? Like, no, that's not normal. What's going to happen when the kids grow up and get out and, you know, try making their own money, and they realize that that kind of stuff costs a lot of money and a lot of time that normal people can't do. You know, a good example of this is I'll use myself for an example. This isn't exactly a family vlogging thing, but when I was growing up, I never realized that my parents were pretty well off. It wasn't until I pretty much became an adult and I had to pay for all my own stuff. But recently, my husband and I got dental insurance. And after a long time of not having it, we went to get our teeth cleaned because, you know, we couldn't freaking afford it. So we go there and we're informed that, you know, we both have cavities, we both have stuff we have to get done. And we were freaking out because it was going to cost us thousands of dollars to get our stuff done. And we didn't have good enough credit to, you know, open up a new credit card to pay for this stuff. So we've been slowly saving away for our mouth surgeries and stuff like that. It sounds like our teeth are really fucking bad. They're not that bad. It's pretty normal. But in the same vein, it's like, they would always tell us, like, well, why'd you wait? Well, we couldn't afford it. Like, we live on a tight budget. We live comfortable and well, but I would rather save up slowly, pay for it that way, than be like, yay, we're living off of bread and top ramen for 3 months. Like, you know, it's one of those things you gotta take. But growing up, we both always had our teeth taken care of if stuff was happening. We had things like that happening. And when we talked to my parents about it and his parents about it, we're like, how the hell did you guys afford this? Because I remember, especially me as a kid, I had a lot of cavities. I was very bad at taking care of my teeth. And my mom was like, oh, we just found a way. And it's like, what do you mean you just found a way? Like, how does that work? It's like, well, you know, you make it happen. You do things, and we're like doing math, and we're like, yeah, there's no way we can do this without having zero savings, zero backup, and we'll be living paycheck to paycheck for the next couple of months. So it's better just to take as well care of our teeth as we can now, save up and get it done later, you know? But to growing up, it was always like, yeah, just go get your teeth fixed. That wasn't a big deal. That was pretty normal. Which, by the way, in my opinion, it should. I don't think it should cost that much money. Same with healthcare. I don't think that there's any reason why that shit should cost that much when it's stuff you need to be a necessity to be healthy. But I digress. you're having these kids grow up where mommy and daddy are, we're now living in this lavish mansion and we're doing this and that. And so unless the kids, it's like a weird cycle. Unless the kids end up becoming YouTubers, if YouTube's even around by that time, how are they going to make normal people money? How are they going to understand that this stuff isn't normal? Because they're not. They're growing up mentally in states where it's normal to just, ditch the country and go on a cruise for a bunch of days. And, oh, wow, mommy let me spend $50,000 in Sephora because I got to pick whatever I wanted, or, blah, 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 blah. And people share it, people click it, people support it, and they make money from it. But the biggest issue here is that these kids, they always get to the point where it's like when they're cute enough to not really consent, they can't really fight back. What's going to happen when the kids get older? Because there have been cases of older kids who are finding out that, wow, these random people on the internet, millions of people on the internet, know when I took my first dump, know when I, peed on my teacher. Here's a, embarrassing story. I mean, I don't care sharing it now because I'm an adult, but when I was really, really, really little, when I was in kindergarten, I remember having a stomach ache and my mom sending me to school anyway because she didn't think it was real. So I threw up, my mom got me a popsicle, cleaned out the car, went to school, and I went to my kindergarten teacher and I was like, well, because the teacher's like, oh, why were you late? And I was like, well, I threw up in my mommy's car. And then, it's like, cute kindergarten shit. And then my mom, took me home, obviously, after that. And then what ended up happening was, I just stayed home. Me as an adult now, that's really freaking funny. Me when I'm like 10, 13, I was so embarrassed by that story. I never told anybody about that story. But if my mom was a family vlogger, you bet that would have been all over the vlog. That would have been funny. That would have gotten a lot of clicks. That would have been really silly. You'd probably see, like, funny clickbait titles like, oh no, look what happened when Michelle went to school, like, blah, 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 and now they're monetizing it. And now I'm growing up with people knowing who I am, and I don't know who these people are. And another huge issue with family vloggers is the safety. People like to shit on this is going to go back on a weird thing here of the whole, like, losing touch with reality thing. A lot of YouTubers and just rich people in general, they send their kids to these private guarded schools for the kids' own safety. It isn't because you'll see people like, try seeing that kid in a normal public school. Another family vlogger I used to watch, that I was kind of into a lot of them at the time, they had to make a vlog because they had to pretty much secretly move and not tell anybody because people had found out where they lived, and by finding out where they live, they were able to find the public school their young kid was going to because it was elementary school, and they would go to the school and they would camp out the school to meet the kids, to meet the parents. That's so fucking creepy. And so then they're like, yeah, so we had to move. We didn't tell anybody. We didn't vlog about it because we had to move. And now our kids are in special private guarded school, and the school knows who we are, and it's happening a lot more often than people like to think, and it's one of those things that Cody and I talked about, because I vlog from here and there. I haven't recently because I've been having some issues with Premiere Pro. Oh, you stupid updates. But we've both come to a strong agreement that even if our vlog channel did kick off, the second we have kids or adopt kids, who knows what the future holds, I'm not going to vlog anymore because I don't feel right vlogging my kids in that sense. I don't feel right. Like, I might do stuff here and there for, like, my family on, like, my private Facebook, but not for millions of people to do, and not to make money off of, because that's what you're also seeing when the mass creeper ban that was going around last year in 2019. I have to say creeper because if I say the actual word, then my video's not going to get promoted. So thanks, YouTube. Da 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 da. But when the creeper movement was happening, and you were seeing people who were time-stamping videos to when kids were in, normal positions, but it could be construed and taken out of context to be something disgusting when it wasn't. And then you were seeing YouTube be like, okay, we'll fix it. Why does this 6-year-old have a YouTube channel? Demonetized. Why does this 5-year-old have a cooking channel? Demonetized. Blah, blah, blah. Getting rid of comments. And now you're seeing these parents losing their damn minds because now their cash cows aren't making money anymore. And I'm sitting here like, wait, why? Because I swear to God, I felt like I was going crazy. I was going crazy when this one mom, because it was even on Philip DeFranco, that she's like, YouTube, why is my 6-year-old gymnastic channel being demonetized? What the fuck? And like everyone's like, yeah, what the fuck, YouTube? And I'm just like, wait, why the fuck is a 6-year-old's channel being monetized? Am I weird? Why am I the only one, like, thinking this? And that's why I was so happy when Smokey Glow and, like, Abby Williams and a few other people were talking about it when it was happening. When I was like, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. Why are people freaking out that this mom lost millions of dollars instead of, wait, why the fuck was your kid having a monetized channel at the age of 6? There's no reason for that. Let's say your kid does want to do gymnastics and they do like doing YouTube. That's fine. Don't monetize it. I think that's gross. I think that a parent should, you know, have a job and make the money and not live off of their kids' paychecks. I guess I'm weird for thinking that way. But it's why I've talked to a couple of my other friends, because I do follow a couple of, like, couple and other vlogger people, but we've all kind of come to the understanding, like, oh, the second they have kids, I can't watch it anymore, because it just makes me uncomfortable. And that's just how I feel about it. I honestly feel that way about it. I think there's a big difference, though, because there is someone who I do watch. This is going to be really, really random for my content, but I've recently gotten to camping videos because my husband and I are trying to, like, get more into camping. And so there's this one channel where it's called Outdoor Boys, and it's not a vlogging channel. It's mostly like some, you know, it's hunting survival stuff, which I think is really interesting. And every now and then he'll have his kids in the video. That's just it. They'll be there because he'll be going camping with his kids. That's completely different, because 90% of his content is like, here's how you make a stove, here's how you cook fish you just caught out of the lake, you know. And do be warned though, he does show, obviously he hunts and shows how to cook it, so there is animal death. Just warning there if that stuff gets to you. I know it does for some people, but he also does really interesting survival stuff. He talks about like tents and you know, weapons and reviews and how to, like, you know, how to camp, which is something I want to get more into. Not so much hunting. I'm not a big fan of that. I'll take a cooler with some stuff I get from the supermarket, but camping and survival, yeah, it seems like fun for me. And I think it's different when it's that situation where it's like, oh yeah, you know, here's how me and my boys go camping every now and then, to, all right, let's you know, let's show Jimmy's first day of school, let's, you know, blah 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 and stuff like that. And I remember he made a video because his channel got hit with that stuff, where I don't know if it got back, but he wasn't able to, like, have comments anymore. But guess what? He still started making videos because he liked doing the videos, and his kids weren't the main focus. It was just every now and then his kids would show up in it. That's fine in my opinion. There's nothing wrong with that compared to, oh yeah, here's my daughter doing this, or when they do these big big, exorbitant, huge fucking birthday parties for these, like, 2 or 3-year-olds who are gonna have no memory of this. I have a home video of my second birthday party. It was a tiny birthday party with a cake where I could barely hold my head up, and my parents were having fun, and it was more a party for my parents' sake than me. But then you're seeing, like, these big, lavish things, and again, why are you spending all this money on a kid who's not gonna have any memory of it? Oh wait, you're doing it because then it'll get clicks and views, so then you'll get money, so then you can write off on your taxes, so then you can now profit off of your kid's birthday party instead of, you know, genuinely wanting to celebrate your kid's birthday. And that's all I have to say about that. So yeah, I don't like family vloggers. I think it's gross. I want it to go away. And I wish that YouTube would crack down harder on people making money off of their kids instead of, you know, them doing their own jobs. Because often cases to do these things, the parents don't have jobs. And in even other cases, they end up hiring other people to edit their own videos. So they're not even doing their own edits of their kids. They're just sending it off to strangers. This isn't knocking editors, because that is a hard job, especially if you're working for a big person. But it's like, so you're literally doing nothing except for spending money and making money off your kids. And I think that's gross. So, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for this ranted opinion. Let me know down below your opinion on family vloggers. If you agree with me, if you disagree with me. I like reading them. I try to get to as many as I can. Thank you as always to my Patreon patrons. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, because if not, YouTube is dumb and won't tell you when I post new videos. But if you don't want to do that, because if you're like me and sometimes you have no idea what to comment or say, know that I make a new video every Wednesday for sure, right around 10 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time, or Specific Standard Time, however you want to say it. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye!